Okay. All right, so we are going to share with you some tips and tricks on how to take your Schoology course to the next level. A lot of you, I mean, if you, I see a lot of familiar faces. We've been running a lot of different sessions, and these sessions have been covering a lot of this stuff. So there might be some overlap there. We shared the entire presentation with you, so usually, people don't do that towards the end, but we like it because we have everything linked and the templates are there. So if you need to bounce around throughout the presentation, feel free to do so, especially when we get to building out some Bitmojis and stuff like that. So this way you can do that. So for those of you who don't know who I'm Sam Edwards. I'm a tech integration specialist. I'm originally at the middle school, but because of everything, it's kind of district wide now at this point. So if you have any questions, comments, concerns, anything throughout this presentation, after this presentation, I typically say, please reach out to Emily DeLuca instead of me, but I won't say that now because I think she's getting overwhelmed with the start of school too. So if you have any issues whatsoever, you need anything, don't hesitate to email me because I'm just a phone call or text away.
And I'm Emily DeLuca. I teach 6th grade ELA and social studies at Springhouse.
And just so you know, a lot of this presentation, just so we're all clear and we're completely transparent, with the designing engaging courses, the best practices course, we originally that first course was a lot of, this is what you should do, why you should do it, and stuff like that. And it wasn't necessarily that how you can do it. So that second time around with that course, the feedback was received, and a lot of the structure from what was in this presentation went into the second round of that one. So if you did take that second round of that one, or you're upcoming for the third one, it's going to be very similar stuff, but the more exposure that you have to it, probably the better off you'll be and stuff. So we're going to skip over a lot of the beginning part of this. When we do this presentation, we talk about all the ways that you can amplify the quietest voice, but of course we're beyond that. We're beyond the basic Schoology presence, especially this is 6 through 12. So, the expectations there are you've blown them out of the water here. On this one, if you look on the left-hand side, that's kind of where we all started off with our course design and structured it out. We adopted the folders right from the beginning, but there's really no bells and whistles. But Em will talk to you about kind of what it looks like on the right-hand side and where we want to take your courses.
Right. I feel like what you need to think about when you're designing your courses and you're adding new stuff for this school year is, I always try to put myself in my student shoes, and I think about what I would like to see if I'm going into a course. Is it something where it's just a ton of text that I have to sift through and read everything, or is it a more visual experience where you can see the pictures and there's color and it's fun to look at? Because we know this year our kids are going to be on their devices a lot. And on the computer. So we want to make sure that this is a positive experience for them.
All right, so we're beyond the why at this point. We all know why we're here, that whole thing called COVID, but also that whole, structuring things a little bit differently. So we're going to skip beyond the next part and then beyond, why visuals can make it prettier. Our overall goal here is to kind of expose you to a lot of the different things that a lot of the possibilities, as it says in the title. A lot of the stuff we're going to focus in on is Google Drive integration and how you can embed things, including like virtual classrooms. We're also going to talk to you a little bit about media albums because we think that, they're not being used as much as they could be. And that's something new for us as well. Also in the assessments feature, there's a new assessment where you can record your students' response. Your response can come back recorded to you, and that might be helpful for like Madame Fortner and some other people as well. And Mr. Riemann, who's on here. All right. So, in this presentation, there is a sandbox course. Em's going to get you started with creating one if you don't already have one. There is a link there to, this guy is an ambassador. He's a pretty sharp guy. There's a link to his sandbox course where he drops a lot of different things in there. If you want to join that and take a look at it, you can. If not, that's okay.
Right. So, if you don't already have a sandbox course, I'm just going to real quickly walk you through the steps of creating one. The whole reason why we create these sandbox courses is just so over the course of the summer, if you want to start building things out for your actual class and you don't want to start putting things into that actual course yet, a sandbox is a good place to put it. It allows you to play around and then don't feel like it's a waste of time, because whatever you create in that sandbox course, you can just copy over to your courses when you're ready to do that. Personally, I like doing that rather than just putting everything into my regular course, because it gets overwhelming with all of the stuff just being unpublished. I think it's a little bit easier to just copy over when you're ready. So just the steps of creating a course, you're going to go to this top courses tab here, go over to my courses, and then you're going to create a course. From here, you want to make sure your course name is very specific to you. If you just type in sandbox, there's going to be multiple ones that come up, and if you click on any of them, you're actually going into someone else's course and messing up their stuff. So I recommend using like your last name, sandbox, maybe a room number, whatever you choose for that. Section name, you don't have to change. You pick your subject area and your level. And then the most important thing to ensure that your sandbox course always stays on your course dashboard and it doesn't go into archives at the end of the year is to click this ongoing button, because then it doesn't sync up with TAC. At the end of the year, when they clear out your TAC, it also moves your Schoology courses to archive. So in order to keep it there the whole time, just click ongoing. Once you do that, you'll hit create. And then when you go back to your course dashboard here, your sandbox course should be there for you to play around in. And that's what I'm going to be working through the majority of the time when we're showing you how to do these different things, my sandbox course.
All right, so with the course dashboard, if you take a look at Emily's course dashboard, so when she's in courses, that's what's going to appear for her. And if you look at the pictures on the top, the pictures on the top are structured out perfectly, they fit perfectly, but if you look at the pictures on the bottom from some of those other courses, they're cut off. If you're having an issue with that and you want to kind of clean it up a little bit, Emma, you linked that one, right?
Yes. Down here on that fourth period, which I realize is wrong because I don't have social studies fourth period this year. If you just click on that, it will take you directly to the template that was created for this. And what you have to do if you want to use something like this so it has that clean look at the top, don't change the dimensions to that rectangle or anything. The only thing that you're going to do is obviously change the text. You can do different fonts, change your pictures, change the background color. And then when you're happy with whatever you have, you're going to download it as a JPEG image. Because when you go back into your course and you're ready to change the picture for it, it's not just something that you can like copy and paste from somewhere else. You're going to have to go to edit picture, and then you're going to attach the file from there, from wherever you save it on your computer. And also just a little side note while we're here, something that would drive me crazy is when I would look at my students' computers and they would have like a 7th period class right at the top and then like a 4th period randomly thrown in there. Within the first week of school, I have my kids organize their course dashboard in a way that's going to work for them. Typically, that's going to be in numerical order. And I just tell them that on their course dashboard, all they have to do is click and hold the tile of their course, and they can drag and drop to whatever order that they want it to be in. You also have the capabilities of doing that on your teacher course dashboard as well.
Banner templates, if you want to create, so right now when you just put a picture onto your profile page, you're getting the one kind of on the left here where the picture's cut off. If you want to kind of expand that a little bit, we have hyperlink templates that you can play around with. And if you click them, it'll bring you to, I believe it's a Google Drawing page where it's structured out and you just drop in the pictures and the font that you want. And your template is going to show up just kind of like on this. Can you go back one page, Em? Or 2 pages, sorry. So do you see how Philip Pulley, like he created his banner template to come all the way down. So instead of it just being that picture, he has it all the way down. If that's something that's interesting to you, you know, again, it's just a bells and whistles. It's not necessary. But that banner template, a couple slides down, then that'll take you there, that you could play around with it. Because this course is typically a 2.5-hour course that we're, you know, squeezing into an hour, we're just kind of showing you a lot of the surface level stuff, leaving you with some templates and stuff that you can circle back to. The next thing we're going to show you is inline styling. So if you take a look at the picture on this page, what you see here is page without inline, and then the page with inline where you see the sunflowers. So if you want to add some of those bells and whistles to your page to make it more visually appealing, this is how you're going to do it. So Em's going to take you to her page, and we're going to show you that magical ABC button. If you're not using, that's a pretty good one. So she's going inside her sandbox.
Do you want me to insert a video or something in here?
Or picture, whatever you want.
Okay. So what you'll do to have this inline styling show up nicely, you can see actually I have some examples down here when we were doing this for elementary yesterday. But all you're going to do is insert a page. And I feel like we talk about this anytime you do a Schoology session, so you might already know this, but this is just a little trick to get things organized in your materials page here. If you go to add materials from this top drop down and you pick whatever you want, it's always going to show up all the way down at the bottom of your materials. And that can be super annoying to have to click and hold and drag it up to where you actually want it to be, especially if you have a ton of content in your course. So a really great thing that you can do is if you see these little grayed out lines, if you hover over them with your mouse, they turn into a green dotted line. If you click that green dotted line, all of those material options come up for you again, and you can just pick whichever you want, and then it's going to be stuck in that position. You can always move it later if you choose to, but it will be placed right where you wanted it to be placed. So I'm gonna add a page, and I'm gonna throw in a video here. So I'm gonna write sunflower, and then the most important button that you can use to really utilize the cool things that you can insert into your course is this guy right here, this square with the arrow. It's insert content. That's where you can add those bells and whistles and really make this a visual experience for the kids. You have access to YouTube right here. You also have access to your Google Drive, and we'll show you that a little bit later on how to embed things from your drive into your course. So if I'm going to YouTube, if you have the direct link from YouTube that you already have a video in mind that you want to use, you can copy and paste that link right in there, or you can search right from here as well. So I'm going to put in sunflowers, and I'll click the video that I want. And you have two ways of embedding this into your page. You can either click this little gear and you can put import embed, or you can click up here and put import embed as well. Totally up to you. So you click that, and right now it looks like nothing. It just looks like a yellow box, but it will once we actually insert this. You can make it as large as you want to, and then this is this button that we were talking about earlier. All your little pictures are in my way right now. Down here, that little ABC button is what you're going to click to have this video show up in line. Good rule of thumb, if any of these features down here are grayed out, it means that the feature is not activated. If you click it and it turns a color, that means it's activated and you're good to go. So I have it the way I want it. I click that inline styling, and I'm going to hit create. Internet a little slow today.
While that is loading, also on the bottom of that page, so again, Em said that the most important thing you can remember, because it does get a little bit tricky, is when you are loading something on Schoology, if you want one of the features to be activated, like inline styling or any of those things, if it's colorful, it means it's activated. If it's grayed out, it means it's not. As that's being loaded too, also at the bottom of that page, there were like a triangle there, three circles that formed a triangle. That's another option as well, and we're going to talk to you about individually assigning folders. But with that one, that gives you the option to whatever assignment you're creating, you can individually assign it to specific students, which will be good, especially if we move into obviously going hybrid right now at 6 to 12. But if we move into all e-learning and you start to create some of those different groups, that would be the option there.
Yeah, I don't know why this isn't loading. It will, but once it does, I'll come back and I'll show you what that looks like.
Any questions so far? Feel free, it's a small enough group to unmute yourself and ask away. So what Em was just showing you too, if you look at this page at the bottom, or this picture at the bottom on the left-hand side, those 3 dots, Em, could you hover over? Yeah, those 3 dots, those are the dots I was talking about. When you, right now it's grayed out, so it's not individually assigned to anybody, but when you click that, you can individually assign that to specific, groups of kids. Next one over, of course, then on the far one on the right-hand side is that ABC button, which is when you're using Add a Page, that's how you're going to get your course to kind of sparkle a little bit, and add some of the pictures and the videos. Because you see on the right-hand side, what Em's going to show you is when she pulls that video, you get 2 options. If I just put the video on the top right there with just a link, that's what it's going to look like for students. If I do it embedding it using a page and doing, as she said, the steps there were add page, insert content. On the right-hand side, you grab YouTube, grab your video, and then that's what it's going to appear to. It's going to look like. Any questions? Ooh, we're still loading there. I don't know. Must be that Quakertown Wi-Fi up there. You're like mine yesterday.
I have a question.
Sure.
If you embed a video, let's say that sometimes links break. If it's embedded, will it still play it, or is it just a broken link?
So I'm so sorry. Let me just make sure I'm understanding. So if links break, so you're saying if whoever created the video, if there's a new link that they changed or something, edited something, and then a new link appears? Is that
Yeah, or if sometimes it goes offline or, just gets removed for some reason.
I think you'd be able to identify that right away, because instead of seeing the picture of the sunflower growing tips there, you would probably see, an error type message there.
Okay.
Right.
All right.
And just a good rule of thumb here, if you're interested in seeing how your course looks to a student or as a parent, this is a great way for you to check to see if your links are working or if the video is working. In your courses, you can go up here underneath course options and click view course as. And right now, the only member that's in this course is Sam for me, but in your actual course where all of your class list is, you'll have all of your students there. Just click on one of their names and then you can see what it looks like from the student's point of view and see if your stuff works.
Interesting.
Okay.
There is a question in the chat.
Yeah.
And the question is, if I'm adding a Google form as a link, is it possible to get a pretty picture preview below the link? I did add it using the inline option.
Yeah, I think it would just come down to embedding. I think we'd have to embed that. So, and do you have any forms?
Might.
Okay. So we can show you that quickly, because that's what it would come down to. You'd have the option to embed it, but let's see if she has any forms.
Would this be? What would this be?
For view course as students, as a member, you just pick a member then? You just pick one of the students' names?
Yes. So just
Okay.
like she had the option to view course as Samantha Edwards, if she would have just clicked me, then we would have been all set. Now you also, because I'm not attached to any parents, but your students will be. So you have the option then to toggle. There'll be 2 screens, and we can show you that in a second.
Yeah, I can show you this right here.
2 screens. Oh yeah, in her ELA course.
Course options, view course as. Here are all of my members, and then you also have the tab over here for parents, so you can see what it looks like as a parent.
That's super helpful too, because when we get into like completion rules and some other things, and kids will say, well, I don't see it that way, you can actually go in and view it exactly how the student sees it.
That's awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
And so it doesn't matter which student you pick, you're not messing up anything for them.
Not at all. The only thing you have to be cognizant of is once you do say you're viewing it, can you do that real quick? Once you do say you're viewing it as a student, you're going to lose a little bit of your controls, and sometimes I just wasn't looking at the top of my screen. So if I went in as, yep, that's perfect, any of them. So if she goes in and she views, oh, it won't do it right now, Em.
If they're not like totally connected yet.
Yeah. Okay, so it won't do it right now because the kids are there, but they're not there. But typically what happens is if I went in and Emily was one of my students and I chose her, then what would happen is it would stay on that page and at the top of it, it would say, you know, switch back to course or something like that. You have the option to get out of that viewing as a student. But if not,
Right.
you're like, wait, where'd all my tools go? And that's why.
I just did it on my computer, and it says that this person does not have permission to view upcoming courses. So are we waiting for a certain date when it will really work for us to do
Yeah.
it that way?
Yes, absolutely. That's why.
Okay,
Like
that'll be,
yep, if Em went in under like that sandbox course, since I'm in there, she can view it as me, because I'm not attached to a marking period or grading, and I'm released completely. But the other kids that are in your courses, even though they're showing up in your courses, they don't even know they're in your courses yet.
okay. So that'll be the first day of school when we can actually view it as a student?
I don't know if I imagine it might be a little bit earlier. I'm not quite sure when Ed and that team releases it, but pretty shortly before school, I would think.
No,
Thank you.
what it says.
Thank you.
This is how your course looks to Samantha Edwards. So this is just exactly what the kids would see. But then when you're ready to go back to your teacher view, just click back to course.
You do
Great.
have a few other questions in the chat, Sam. I don't know if you want to look at them because you know what you're going to be getting to, or if you want me to read them off for you.
Whatever's easier. Yeah, you can read them off because
Okay.
I'm
So the next one, and it's not a silly question, although they said this might be a silly question. Are we allowed to change the name of our course? Not the section, just the name.
Which course? Is it a course like design? Is it behind the scenes course?
I think they're talking about an actual, like, the students are in it course.
I don't believe you can, because I think it messes up. I think that's grayed out now because there were issues with people changing it. What was happening is people were changing it, but they weren't realizing, like if I started typing in ELA 7th grade or whatever, and it pulled Karen Steigerwald's course, I've jumped into her course, and it was getting very confusing. So I think they've taken away that option, but I'm not 100% sure, to be honest with you. Like, Em, if you go into your courses and you go into that ELA, and you go into course, if we go into her options there, we can test that out real quick now. So it's not a silly question. It's a good question. Edit info.
Sam, and that messes with TAC too when you're trying to.
Okay, so I don't want to get myself in trouble here. This isn't Ed Kobus. I want to confirm with him first. So do you see on the right-hand side how that always lives as language arts? It's grayed out. I think that's what's perceived on behind the scenes. The overall message that we're giving to elementary is don't change your course names. It does look like you have the option to change English language arts there, but I wouldn't want to say, yes, do that until we confirm that with Ed. So let me send, I'm going to take a screenshot real quick, and don't get off there. Okay. I'm going to send a quick text message to Ed to see if that's okay. It's my understanding that they'd prefer you just to change the section name and not touch the course name, but let me confirm that.
Sam?
Melissa Goldstein is saying that she believes that they told us before that we could only change the section name.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure why it's not grayed out though, but I will confirm that before the end of this call.
Your next question about viewing a course as a student is, does that affect the analytics? In other words, will it show that the student accessed the material when it was actually the teacher?
Who asked that question? That's a fantastic.
Susan Hartman. It is a fantastic question.
Well played, Susan Hartman. I don't believe it will, because I think it's coming from a certain, like when you look at the analytics on the admin side, and if I was to go into a student's analytics, it's going to pull that IP address. It's going to pull a different address. And I think that's kind of what they're going off of. I don't think it would pull as a student if it was coming off of my IP address, but I'd have to, that's again, another one I will confirm for you.
Okay. And this is just something you might want to show people how to do. The question is, do we add another teacher as a member of our sandbox course to help us see what the student view is?
Yes, and we do get to that. We'll get to that in the Google Drive integration part of it.
Okay, and I think you're probably going to get to this then as well about how to embed a Google form.
Yes, we're gonna show you that real quick now before we move on to anything else.
Okay, then that clears your chat questions.
Awesome, thanks guys. And please ask away, because we know that the smartest person in the room is the room, so yeah.
So Sam, to embed this Google form, I'm just going to go through here through my Google Drive again, right?
We're gonna try it that way, but I'm gonna show another way too. So go ahead.
Let's
Try
go here then. Go ahead.
No, go that way first, and then because my way might not be the best way.
Would I just search for the form in here?
Yeah, just try it and see it.
not allowing you?
You know what? Probably because you're not the owner of that form.
I am though.
Oh, you are?
Yeah.
So then it's not, okay, so then let me see when you go to send and go to the two arrows on the right-hand side. So yep, go over one more right there. Grab that. Okay, grab that embed code, copy that, come back to your sandbox, and then come out for a sec. And then, do you see on the right-hand side those two dots? Click the bottom one. Now drop that in there. And then make sure it's, yep, in line. And I don't know if this will work, but then go ahead. Is that what you mean, Christy?
Yep.
Wait, Kara, is that what they were looking for?
I'm looking in the chat for any confirmation. I think that's probably it.
Okay. So quickly to go back again, because again, we want to get through everything for you.
Yes, that is what they were looking for.
Okay. So to do that, basically you did add a page. Then from add a page, you went to, on the right-hand side, you get those two dots. It's the switch to HTML type stuff. You switch down to the bottom, and then you drop the embed code in there. You can do that for anything. You can do that for a Nearpod. You can do that for anything as well. Anything that has an embed code, it gives you the option to embed it that way as well. Okay. All right, Em, let's cruise.
All right, I know, we gotta get going. Okay, so coming up with unit folders, this is just a way for you to stay organized with your kids. Totally up to you with how you want to organize your unit folders. I found that the foundation of my course is based on folders. And it's not just to the point where you have one folder for like, let's say vocabulary, and then a ton of content within there. That doesn't really do any good, because then the kids still have to sift through all of that stuff. So it sounds kind of like overkill, but putting folders within folders within folders is going to make your life so much easier, because if the kids get into that routine of like, okay, vocab folder, unit 2 folder, within that unit 2 is all of my content that I need to do in there. Much less questions, because you know, if you open up a folder and you might have it right in there in front of their face, they might still not see it. So make sure you kind of over communicate with the location of things. Over here in this image, people sometimes will insert pictures for a folder and actually hyperlink the pictures to where they want the kids to navigate to. Up to you if you would choose to do that. And then we can also talk about individually assigning folders. Sam mentioned before, on any of the materials that you have to choose from, those little 3 dots on the bottom of them shows you how you can individually assign. I think a lot of times we talk about individually assigning just folders, but you can individually assign materials as well. Real quickly, just so I can show you how to do that. If you don't already know how to individually assign a folder, you're just going to go into add folder, and then I might put blue group here, and then I'll create the folder. And I just want to show you this also quickly too, in case you didn't know how to insert a picture for a folder. So instead of just having the text there, you can actually use a picture. I'm going to go back and edit this folder. And this is important if you want to do this copy and paste transfer that I'm about to show you. Right here, I need this description box open. If I go and just look for a Google image, because this was for my blue group, I might pick this one. I click and hold, and I drag it up to my Schoology tab, and I drop it. And I drop it right in that description box. Make that as large as you want to, and save your changes. And then now you see here, instead of just the text, you have a picture for the kids to click on. If you want to individually assign this to kids who are only in that blue group, if you do something like that, you're going to individually assign just by clicking here. Once all of your students are in your course, you'll have all of them to choose from. Click who belongs to that blue group, hit next, and assign. So then only students in that blue group are receiving that folder. You as the teacher will see all of those folders, but the kids will just get exactly what they need. It's a really nice way to personalize the content for the kids.
How do you, so I see something did just pop up. How do you put text to the side of your picture on that folder? So if you create, so the easiest way to do that is in a Google Doc. If you just go to insert a table, it's like I'm not. It's like I'm doing it. Geez, you're reading my mind there. So go ahead, Em. You got it from here because that's exactly what I was going to show.
Okay, so you're just going to insert a table into a Google Doc. You could maybe put, I don't know what you would put in here.
Just drop your picture of that blue thing you already have. Yeah.
I do blue group, and then I copy this picture, and I paste it in here. Then you can get rid of the outline on these boxes if you don't like the look of that. But then all you're actually going to do is copy this table. And then if I go back in here, I'm just gonna delete this picture for now. That's in here. And I'm gonna paste my table in there. Right now this looks so ugly, so don't judge that, but you can like make this look pretty and make it look nice. But once I hit save changes, it'll show up, the picture will come, it'll show up like that. And then what some teachers actually do is like they'll hyperlink that picture. So the kids won't necessarily have to click inside of the folder. They can just click that picture and then it'll take them wherever they need to go.
All right. Also, so right there, can we bounce back real fast to your page? Okay, so she showed you how to individually assign a folder. One of the new things that's been popping up is you can also create grading groups. So if you have specific kids working on different tasks and kind of all over the place, you can create a grading group within that course as well. So if she goes to her morning ELA class and then she goes down to members, she clicks members, and on the right-hand side, it says organize members into grading groups. If she clicks that, she gets the option to add a grading group. She can create blue group, and then she can choose which students to add into it. And it's completely fluid because you can go back in and change these kids as they progress out of one unit and onto the next unit. You can change this up. It's just a little bit easier to manage in the grade book when you're looking at that kind of stuff, especially if you're personalizing instruction. So now she has that group there. When she goes into her grade, and then it shows there, when she goes into her grade book, what's really cool about this, and I don't feel like we're using the gradebook feature as much as we should be, you can go to all members then, and instead of sifting through 28, 30 kids, you now can focus on just those specific groups of kids and then see where they're at. So you can kind of drive your instruction based off of that. You also, with the grading groups in here in the gradebook, you have the option to view and change. You can view it via materials, or you can view it to who hasn't submitted something, what needs graded to be graded, and all that stuff. So you have so many more options in the gradebook. So even if you're not using the gradebook and completely syncing it to TAC, you still want to use it for a participation grade. So if you create an assignment, put a participation grade on it, even if it's 2 or 5 points, and then you can track it so much easier if we move into e-learning rather than filtering through all of the different folders. All right. Course navigation, you can create, yeah, we talked about that. If you create a page, you can create one of those tables like Em showed you before. You could put your pictures there of the different folders you have, and they could just be hyperlinked. If you want more information on that, just message me and I'll jump on a chat with you and talk you through those steps. It's pretty easy.
Media albums is another cool thing. I feel like it's underutilized with Schoology. A lot of people just think it's like for adding pictures and just doing that kind of thing. But there's a lot of great things if you get creative with it that you can use media albums for. I feel like it was the PD, the best practices one that all of secondary has to take. I give you a back to school activity that you can use with media albums. It's like a virtual locker kind of decoration thing that you can do. But something that I was thinking of specifically for elementary, because I know this is a popular thing for elementary, but maybe sometimes secondary people do it as well, those anchor charts that people have in their room where they like put a lot of detail in them and make them look really pretty. or really any resource that you have within your classroom, knowing that we're going into this hybrid schedule or possibly an all e-learning schedule, we have these things in our classrooms that when kids are not with us, they're not getting use out of them. So I was thinking I might go around and just snap some pictures of some of the things that are in my room that kids use on a daily basis, and put them into a media album for kids to access at home as well. Other things that you can do is create discussions based on media albums, have kids insert their own content within it, and it's just as easy as going into, let me get there. Sam, should I show that virtual locker thing right here?
Yeah, yep, you show it, and then I'm gonna drop in I was just finding that as well, so I could drop in the hyperlink so they can have it.
Okay, so just to give you an idea, I'm gonna, oops, that's not what I wanted to do. I'm gonna edit this media album just so you can see what it looks like to insert it.
I'm taking a picture of that anchor chart one. I'm dropping that anchor chart out of there, and I'm just gonna put your Bitmoji locker thing in there so they can have that.
So you have to title the media album, put a description in there, or you can offer directions for what you want the kids to do. And then you have the same little guide that we have in discussions, where I know in discussions you have to click that for the kid to post and then they can see everyone else's. But if you click this little guy and he turns a color, it means that both instructors and students can add media, meaning kids can add their own pictures or video if they choose to, or if you want them to. You can turn that off and you can be the only one that adds it. Also over here, comments. You can enable or disable comments. Depending on what you're doing, you might want them turned on or you might want them turned off. For this project that I have my kids doing, if I click in here, this is a virtual locker. I found this on Twitter for getting to know you activity for school. All this is I saved this slide as an image. I inserted it into my media album, and you can write a caption, do a little quick description of what's inside that locker, and then kids down here can write comments back and forth to each other. This is like a getting to know you, build those connections, form the relationships, and then kids can see their common ground and see what they have in common. So just an idea, a really cool way of using media albums.
Yeah.
All right, and then you see there, I hyperlinked your, I added your Bitmoji locker.
I don't
So
know.
that's M's
Oh.
template.
Yeah, it'll force a copy if you click that, and then the template's there for you, and then you can choose to use that if you would like to.
All right,
Before
so
you go on, ladies, there's a couple of questions that have come up in the chat.
you got it, thanks.
Okay, so the first question was, are we able to create our team course in Schoology, or does a tech person have to do that for us?
The team page,
Yes.
that's a great question. I'm not sure if JR is, I'll ask JR if he's creating those team pages.
I know he was the one who made them last year.
I'll show the text right now while you're reading the other ones.
Okay. Also, they'd like to know if, could you show them just how to group the courses together?
Mm-hmm.
So that's the second question. And then in the past, when we embedded Edpuzzle videos in our classes and our classes were linked, the grades did not integrate with TAC. They were all sent to one class. Has this been updated in the Schoology integration with Edpuzzle and TAC? So that kind of goes along with the linking courses. Your courses are linked. They all went to one class. So we're just wondering if that's been fixed.
Oh, okay.
I believe so. I believe they worked that out, but correct me if I'm wrong. I believe they worked that out in the middle of e-learning in the spring, that they found what the bug was and then worked that out. But we'd have to double check on that one too.
Okay. Stop me if you want to show something before I go to the next question there, because there
I
are.
can show real quickly how to link the courses.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so if you go into courses at the top and go to my courses, all of your courses will show up here down below. Next to the course, you have a little gear. If you click where it says link existing section, you can link that section to whichever other section you want to it, and then they stay linked.
we did get the confirmation that Edpuzzle was okay. Good. Okay.
All right, next question.
Along with linking courses, and Sam, you might know this better. I hope the answer is we can do it now because I already did. And that is, can we link our courses now or do we need to wait until TAC's final rostering?
Let's see. Well, first of all, let me get you an answer to the other one. I said,
Okay.
are you creating?
Andrew, I'm gonna say that every year, one of the first things I do when the Schoology courses is released is combine my classes, and I've never had an issue with student rostering. So I'm gonna say from personal experience, I don't think you need to wait.
I don't think so either. That would be if I was answering it, I just asked JR right now to confirm that. He did also say with regards to the team pages, he said, yes, we will handle those. And I said, when? And he said, when we create them, we'll send an announcement. Right now, they're working out the logistics of the hybrid and all that kind of stuff to settle out first. And then they will be creating those pages. So I would say real soon, you'll be able to get them. I wouldn't lose time. I have whatever you want to put in that team page, I would build out in your sandbox course, and then you can easily drop it into your team page once it's created.
And then the next question kind of goes along with the grading groups that you showed, and that is any tips for when you sync your grade book to TAC? The grading groups are a mess for kids to see. They see everyone's assignments in TAC, even if they weren't something that was required for their grading group.
Yeah, that's on a Schoology side, and TAC side, it's a communication thing. We've brought that up several times of how, if we are using these individually assigning folders, we're using grading groups, we're using all these different things, how do we streamline that? Right now, I don't know that there's a fix for that, so it does come up as different columns. What I would say though is, have that communication with your parents and your students right from the beginning, so there isn't, confusion about, well, my kid's missing this grade, I don't understand. It's not a pretty picture, but that's kind of where that one's at as of right now.
Yeah. I have often used the excuse feature in our
that's a great idea.
Grade book, and just, it doesn't look pretty, but it at least gives the peace of mind that they don't have to do it.
That's actually a really good idea.
The last question here, and you might be heading into this with the Schoology Google integration here, is can you please explain how to embed a daily or weekly calendar schedule?
That's something we're definitely going to cover. Now, keep in mind, we also have a 10 o'clock here that we have to jump into, which will be fine, because this is all important stuff, and we want to answer as many questions. Just so you know as well, linking the courses, yes. Can they link the courses now? Yes. Also note the sync doesn't run nightly right now. So if there are discrepancies between TAC and Schoology, don't sweat it. It'll clear up in the next sync. So yes, you can link right now. And then when things change, it will fix. It just might not fix overnight. It might just take a couple days to fix.
Okay, that clears your chat questions.
Okay, awesome.
All right, so Sam, should I jump into the Google integration with assignments, or should I go right to the slides?
I think we're all beyond the assignments part of it, so let's hit the slides.
Okay.
And if anybody on this chat needs help with connecting their Google Drive and doing it right from the basic step, email me. I will help you after my next 4 calls. I'll help you.
Okay. So what you'll do when you're creating this agenda, you have to create some sort of table in a Google slide. Totally up to you with how you want it to look. I think I changed mine like 4 times over the course of the year because I wasn't fully happy with what it looked like. You got to do what works best for you. You can add your assignments in here. The nice part about you doing this agenda as a Google slide instead of just utilizing the calendar feature in Schoology is because you can share this calendar with someone. 6th grade, we teach in teams. So my teammate is also on this slide, so he can type in what his assignments are. And then we put this on our team course. So you have this slideshow the way that you want it, and then to embed this into your course in Schoology, you're going to do the exact same thing we did to like embed this form, or well, not the HTML part, but to like embed a YouTube video. You're going to do it as a page. So go down to page. I'm just going to put this as homework or agenda, whatever you want. This insert content button, drop that down, and you're going to go to your Google Drive resource app. You got to make sure that your Google Drive is connected with Schoology. If it's your first time doing it, it's just like one click allows you to allow it and then pick your school account. And then your drive will show up here for you. Here I see my Team Thunder homework slide. I'm going to click that. And again, remember I have my 2 ways of embedding it. I'm going to go to the top here and put again, it looks like nothing yet, but once we create it, we'll be good to go. You can make it the size you want, and then you're going to put this ABC, that's the most important button, ABC inline styling, and you're going to create it. The best part about this is the fact that kids can go back through this presentation and see previous week's work. If they're sick or if they're on vacation, they can look back and see what it is. Now, right now, the thing you always want to make sure you're doing, that when the kids go to this landing page, the first slide that they're going to see always has to be slide number 1 in your presentation. So just to give you an idea of how to make these changes, when you're ready for a new week to put a new agenda in there, all I do is I duplicate the slide and then I make the changes that I need to. So I'm just gonna type some random stuff in here so you can see it updated in Schoology. And I'm going to drag this up and always make it slide number 1. Now, when I hop back in Schoology, you might say it didn't change, it's not working. All you have to do here is hit refresh. And then you can see, and there's my typed and there's my changes.
Emily,
So,
Emily, quick question for you. I actually did that with Google Slides too. The one that you're showing me, can you show me the slide you used that has that beautiful box schedule and then the little zoom update? I could not, maybe I'm just not seeing the slide, but mine did not look that pretty.
this one?
Yeah, like which slide did you choose for the PowerPoint? Like which to make it look like those boxes?
I just made a blank slide and then I put it inside of it.
Oh, got you. Okay.
Yeah, I just manipulated the table around to the size that I liked.
But
Perfect.
Colleen, also keep in mind, if you looked back to M's first couple slides, if you look back to those, you can see how it's progressed and changed and modified into the better way for her to make more sense for her. So don't feel like you have to have it perfect right away.
Right. It's a little, I'm like a perfectionist. So I was like, oh, how do you do that? That's awesome. Thank you. I was using their actual templates and I was not getting what I wanted.
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yep. All right. So we're good with that. Course embedding, we talked about that.
Everything in this slide is also linked for you. So please feel free to go back to it. Everything, we have tutorials on just about every slide for you.
This next thing is, we cover this in the best practices session as well, but this is just something new that I'm sure all of you are seeing on social media now, these Bitmoji classrooms and making it visual and trying to make that connection between home and school. I will be honest, I'm embarrassed with how much time I actually spent on this, because once you get into it, it's like decorating and it's fun. But I can just show you real quickly the very starting point of this, if this is something you're interested in. Now, I know this is not for everyone and not everyone wants to make a Bitmoji classroom, but if you want to, all it is a Google slide. So I'm just gonna go into one that I already have made. And really what I did was, when I was interested in doing this, I YouTubed it and I said, Bitmoji classroom, watched a 4-minute video, and it just took me through the basic steps of doing it. You're gonna start with a new slide and you wanna make sure the layout of it is just a blank slide. Hardest part here is just getting your background. So if you go to image search from the web, all you're gonna search for is wall and floor background. So many options already there for you. If you're picky and you wanna pick your own wall and floor, find a wall you like, find a floor you like, and then just match it up on the slide. I'm gonna pick this one and I'm going to insert it. And then you just want to make sure that it takes up your entire background of that slide. That's really the hardest part. From there, all you do is basically go furniture shopping. You Google image search like a whiteboard or a bookshelf or a lamp, whatever you want, and you add it in there. And then you can add your Bitmoji. So you can also hyperlink things in here. And you insert this into your course the exact same way you would insert that Google slide that I just showed you. Go to Pages, go to your Drive, and then insert it in here. If you have things hyperlinked, I can show you down here just as an example. You can see that my cursor goes from an arrow to like a pointer finger. You click on that and you know it's hyperlinked to something. So maybe I have my novels here that I teach. If you want to hyperlink it to like a book trailer to give the kids an idea of what the book's about, you can do that. If you want to hyperlink it to a specific folder in Schoology and have them go to an assignment from there, you can do that. Put whatever you want on your whiteboard. I just did topics for that week. All I did was put the whiteboard in there and then draw a text box over it and type in there. While we're here, just something real quick, and I'm talking super fast because we don't have a ton of time left. You might know this, Karen, you might talk about this in your getting geeky with Google classes, but this is something that I learned because I wanted to make my handwriting cool on the board, and I was always kind of bummed out with the fonts that are on Google because there's not that much variety. If you go here to fonts and you go to more fonts, you have so many other options to pick from.
I didn't even know that was there until about 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, as soon as you find one that you like, you click it and you put OK, and then it's forever housed in here, and you always have that font to choose from. So if you are a font snob, choose more fonts, and then you're able to pick ones that you like.
I also added, if you go to the next slide, I added, which is super cool, definitely check this out. In one of our last sessions, actually with the elementary, if you click the word examples there, it brings you to this woman's page, and you can go through here and you can click on anything, any of hers, make a copy of any of her Bitmoji templates, and you probably will save yourself like 4 hours. And then you can just modify it, change your Bitmoji to her and to yourself, and there's just so many cool templates there. So I just added that slide.
Side note, if you're having trouble finding a Bitmoji that actually fits into your classroom and isn't like holding some weird prop or doing something weird, I just saw this on Instagram yesterday. Type in pose in Bitmoji, and then you have all of the Bitmojis of just yourself.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's, JR is starting our next session, so we're okay for a couple minutes here, but we don't want to hold everybody else up, especially Jen, who's at the beach. But, you know, just so you know, I mean, that's taking it step by step through how you can embed all of this stuff into your pages. If you have if that's something you want to explore in greater detail, again, don't hesitate to reach out, and I can meet with you privately and do that. If you don't already have your Bitmoji, the steps for that is going to be, you need to do it on your phone first, create a Bitmoji account. Once you have that Bitmoji account created, you're gonna go to the Chrome Web Store, and then you can add your Bitmoji there, and that's how we can get your Bitmoji to show up. So again, if these are things that you want to do, definitely don't hesitate to reach out to me, and I'll take you step by step through it. It's just, this is a 2.5 hour presentation in 50 minutes. Other than that, a lot of the other stuff that we have in this presentation are just free resources for you, copyright-free images that you can go and you can search a lot of these different websites, and you can use any of this content, and you're not breaking any rules. And then Google Drawings, if you want to create memes and stuff, there's meme generators online, but you can also do it via Google Drawings as well if you want to have some fun things. Because they can take this picture, well, they probably wouldn't take this picture, but they can create a meme and then take it and then put it into a folder and have that be the picture of their folder. Badging, if you're not using badging, kids are coming off of gamifying themselves all summer long. So if you want to pull off that motivation, you can pull in some motivational badges. On the next session, right at 10 o'clock here, we're going to be covering badging as well in greater detail. And then gamification, there's a ton of resources there, especially for my world language teachers that are on here. Like if you, this guy that shared out all these resources, he teaches Spanish, I believe. And so he has a ton of gamification resources in there for Spanish too. So feel free to click on that link and play around.
Sam, real quickly while we're talking about that, do you want me to show them the video part of the assessments now?
Yes, because I think people would like that for sure.
Okay. This is just a new feature within assessments. If you use it, it's a new question type. So you know if you are using it, there's like that multiple choice, short answer, you know, all the basics of that. But there's a new question. Let me just go through here. That you can pose a question, type one out, whatever you want them to work on. And then as a response, rather than having them just select multiple choice or true or false, you can actually have them do a video response for it. So if you want to actually hear them explain, or if it's like for a language or something else, they can explain that way. So I'm just going to type in, what is a noun? And then you can change the maximum length. Wouldn't recommend giving them 600 seconds, maybe 30, because remember, you have to watch all of this. So type that in, and then once you're happy with it, you can hit save. But if I go up here to preview question, this is what it looks like for the student. It has the test question up here, and then all they're going to do is hit this record, explain their response. If they need to fix it, they can go back and re-record. When they're happy with it, they move on to the next question or hit submit. And then for you as the teacher, you're able to go back in then into grading, click on that student's name, and then you can watch their video responses to the assessment question. All right.
Now, one of the questions was, can they have this presentation? You know, of course, I'm going to post it again one more time, and then you have access to this presentation. Well, I thought I posted it. Maybe it didn't go. If you need to go over any of this stuff, again, this is a lot. It's a lot of stuff that we're passing out at you here. Do not hesitate to reach out. This was kind of touching on the surface level of a lot of the really cool things you could do at the next level with Schoology. But of course, again, it's a shortened amount of time. But I don't mind jumping on a call with any of you if you're like, listen, you started to show completion rules. I want to know more about that. Don't hesitate to contact me and I'll help you. All right. Any questions about any of the stuff we just tossed really hard at you?
There's nothing in the chat that you didn't cover.
Okay, cool. Any feedback? You know, is there something else that you want us to do more sessions on?
Sam, what was the answer to the question about adding other teachers or someone in your sandbox?
Oh, let us show you how to add another teacher. In any course, Linda?
No, if you were doing a sandbox and you wanted to be able to see it as in a student view.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you're not going to be able to see those students right now until it's released.
But she means like adding just like maybe her teammate or something.
Oh, okay. You can show that.
Right.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. So if you go down to members in your sandbox, you can add a member straight from there. So if you like want to add Chip or something in there, and then you can view it as him, just type in his name, add member, and then once he's in there, you're able to view course as, and then that person will come up.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Anything else? No? Anything? Sam?
Laura Roth-Nestle asked a question, but I think I might have been able to answer it for her. If not, I'm sure she'll let us know.
Okay.
All right, and then I know that some of you might have bounced in here from, if you already saved the link for our 10 o'clock session, because we were running over on this one, we changed that 10 o'clock session to a Google Meet. So just jump on the intranet if you want that link for that one. All
Looks
right.
like the hyperlink question was answered. So.
Okay. All right, so if we are good, are we good to go then?
Thank you, everyone.
All right, thanks guys. And then Karen, thank you so much for managing, managing that chat there.
Absolutely.
And hopefully we got to, I think we got to everybody's questions, so there's still so much more. Jen, have fun with those dolphins. All righty. And then we're gonna jump on then to the Google Meet link that's on the intranet for our next one.
Sounds good. All right, thank you.